December the 8th, 2023. This is the place where God gets the glory for his amazing creation. This critter we're going to talk about tonight, the velvet worm. How many have never heard of a velvet worm till just now? Well, wait till you see this velvet worm. Do you think this evolved? You really need your head examined, okay? Anyway, we'll talk about it in a minute. We're on Rumble, Kent Hovind Official. We're on Genesis Baptist Church on YouTube, on Kent Hovind Official on Odyssey, and a bunch more places on drdino.com. A velvet worm. What on earth is that? Well, it looks like it's got a velvet coat on, and it's a worm. How's that? But it has got some screwball characteristics. I would like to know how this evolved, the velvet worm. So please help me out here. We've got all kinds of critters. You can play three new to play with. We've got three new baby goats, a couple of baby sheep up on the North 40, baby cows. Come on down. Bring your family here to see Dinosaur Adventure Land. Let's see, where are we at here? Velvet worm. There we go. No, we should have moved that down. December the 8th. Anyway, I had a debate last week, didn't I, instead? Last Friday? Yes. So let's move all those down one. Dumbo, octopus, walking sticks. Oh, okay, coming to you live from Genesis Baptist Church. We're told in the Bible to go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. There's things you can learn from an ant that'll draw you closer to the Lord. Ants are amazing. 12,000 different kinds of ants. They say there's probably more, the number of ants, the weight of all the ants in the world is probably greater than the weight of all the people in the world. I don't know if that's true or not. Who measured that? Okay. Anyway, we're told to consider the lilies. There's all kinds of different lilies to consider. You think that all happened by chance from a dot of nothing exploding. You really need your head examined. Consider the ravens. Ravens are amazing. They don't store up their food. Don't have a refrigerator, nothing. God provides for them. And there's all kinds of ravens and crows and critters like that. Anybody should stop and think of the things God has made and draw you closer to the Lord. Okay, there's sexually reproducing animals and asexually reproducing animals. And we're going to talk about one of these tonight here. Let's see, after the Bible says they'll bring forth after their kind. That's all anybody has ever seen. Let's see, probably 1,000 different kinds of mangoes. Might have had a common ancestor called mango, okay? Let's see, 7,500 varieties of apples. They might have had a common ancestor, a mosquito. Mm-hmm. Okay, go and help us stay open for free. Join our 777 club and watch out for they got to watch out for the blessed spirit of promise. One of our tech guys was diverting donations to himself, so he's going to be in jail for a long time. But if anything to that email, send all the information to Sandra at extension 1, 855 BIG-DINO. Okay, so sign up for the 777 Club, if you would, right there, drdino.com. Let's see, make any checks to... If
they call PayPal, they might get their money back.
Call PayPal, get the money back. Okay, so if you donated to Blessed Spirit of Promise, call PayPal, get the money back. That'd be cool, okay? I'll get our seminar series. You can get 10 of these for $300 for Christmas presents, 10 sets to give out to everybody for stuffing stockers and change lives. People get saved watching the videos about creation. Christmas gifts. We got a bunch of sets here. The Dinosaur Library, $92 if you want to get all the books on dinosaurs for your kids. We have books on different religions, why I'm not a Mormon, why I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, Catholic, and all the different stuff that they believe. The whole set. I lost the sticker, brother. Do you remember how much that is? $134. Get the whole library, $134. And then this library, I'm not going to hold up because I hurt my wrist today. King James Library, the errors, so-called errors in the King James Bible, there are none. The language of the King James, all kinds of books. In Awe of Thy Word, excellent book by Gail Ripplinger. And so and Bible versions, a whole library on why you better use a King James for $280 if you want to get that for somebody for Christmas. Okay, Christmas gifts. Get our series on what on earth is about to happen. It's coming, folks. I think we're here. Keep an eye on Israel. You watch. There's going to be an order to rebuild their temple. Just watch, okay? God said they would bring forth after their kind. He blessed them, said, be fruitful and multiply. It's a blessing to be fruitful and multiply. I've never met a large family that regrets it. Those that have 7 kids wish they had 10 and 12 and 15. Large families are great. Be fruitful, multiply, be fruit. God bless Noah, said be fruitful and multiply. It's all through the Bible. And he made them male and female. There's only 2, by the way, only 2. It could not be more clear. If you don't know which one you are, ask your mama. She was there, okay? Male and female, male and female. Let's see. It's all through the Bible. Okay, we're going to talk about tonight how God, in his infinite wisdom, gave the command for all life forms to make babies, and he gave the needed equipment and the drive to do so. Watch the deer during rutting season. They will kill each other. Watch the elephants fight over the females, okay? So there's no excuse Judgment Day for you atheists to say all this happened by chance. Why would all these animals want to make babies, which is going to increase competition for the food supply? Why didn't any of them just evolve the ability to live forever? Nope. They all want to make babies, don't they? Yeah. Amazing variety of ways to do it. We're going to cover one tonight. I think there is no excuse for you Judgment Day. God made all these varieties just so you could say, man, had to be designed. Let me just go skip up a little bit here. Tonight we're going to talk about the velvet worm. We've done, 148. It should be number 148 now this week. The velvet worm. How on earth did this thing evolve? God said, let them bring forth. God said, let them do it. Let all the creatures bring forth. Tonight we're going to talk about an extremely tiny animal called the velvet worm. There's a velvet worm. They come all different colors and sizes. 10 fun facts about the velvet worm. Velvet worms haven't changed much in the last 500 million years. In fact, they're full of prehistoric awesome. Wow, this guy's indoctrinated. Yeah, or paid to say that, okay? All extant, that means still living, as opposed to extinct, okay, it means they're dead. All extant velvet worms are terrestrial, live on the land, and prefer dark environments and high humidity. They are found particularly in the rainforest of the tropics and temperate zones, where they live among moss cushions and leaf litter under tree trunks, and stones in rotting wood or in termite tunnels. Velvet worms, otherwise known as some hard scientific name, are reclusive little animals. They have changed very little in the last 500 million years. Scientists have described some 180 modern species found in the tropics of Australia and New Zealand from Wired magazine. Velvet worms have an odd evolutionary biology that fascinates scientists with their own distinct phylum. Wow, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, gene. They're the only one in their phylum. Wow, that's quite an honor. They should get a badge or something, This guy says there's 110 species with an evolutionary history that stretches back hundreds of millions of years. Ooh, wow. Although velvet worms are now land animals, they appear to be related to marine species found in the fossil records. No such thing as a fossil record, guys. They are fossils, okay? Some fossils of their ancestors are discovered with estimated ages of around 300 million years old. Their marine progenitors are even more ancient at 500 million years old. Wow, let's see. Velvet worms are increasingly singled out by scientists as possible connection point in the evolutionary history of annelid worms, such as earthworms and arthropods. Velvet worms have hydrostatic skeletons. What? They don't have bones. Hydrostatic, pressure. They simply use pressure inside their body to move their skeleton around, to move their exoskeleton around, their skin. Velvet worms don't have hard exoskeletons like arthropods. Instead, their fluid-filled body cavities are covered in a thin skin and kept rigid by their pressurized internal liquids, like a big water balloon. Want to hold it. So for them to move their legs, if they're all filled with a liquid like a big water balloon, how does the brain keep track of all this to move the legs independently? No muscles, no bones, water pressure. How did that happen? Let's see. Alteration of fluid pressure in the limbs. They adjust the fluid pressure in each leg in order to move. Teacher, I got a question. How does this tiny brain keep track of 43 pairs of legs? Adjust hydraulic pressure to each one at just the right time. The velvet worm is amazing. They have stubby little feet. Their feet are described as conical, baggy appendages. Depending on the species, they can have between 13 and 43 pairs of feet. The feet are hollow, fluid-filled, and have no joints. They're walking on a bunch of little airbags. Well, water bags. You think maybe that had to have some kind of designer? Each stubby foot has a little claw, and they can decide to retract the claw or extended if they need it for traction. Snow tires, you know. Each foot has a tiny claw made of a chitin. Let's see. They can use the claws on the uneven terrain. For smoother surfaces, they retract the claws. Now, how are they doing this with no muscles and no bones? Teacher, how does this tiny brain keep track of 43 pairs of feet and know when to retract the little claws? You'd almost think it was designed if you didn't know better. I'll tell you what, let's watch a quick video about the velvet worm, a few minutes of one here, and see if you can explain to me how this happened.
Fossils very like it have been found in rocks that are 540 million years old. This is a velvet worm. It too has scarcely changed since it lived in the sea, and today it's only found in wet, humid forests. It usually hunts at night, but
keep in mind, it's keeping track of all those little legs with pressure, hydrologic pressure. No bones, no muscles. Watch his legs move.
Infrared cameras can reveal it in action. Soft, slumpy legs enable it to move in total silence, and it finds its way with long, sensitive feelers.
And it all came from a dot of nothing exploding. 13.7720072 billion years ago.
It's a master of stealth. This cricket has huge eyes, but it's difficult to see what's going on around it. Though the velvet worm has fangs, it will attack its prey when it finds it with a very special weapon.
A very special weapon. I've never seen anything like this in my life. This worm wants to eat that cricket. The velvet worm can move very, very slow. Crickets can move really fast, like, jump a long ways. How are we going to lasso this thing and tie it down? Well, for millions of years, they couldn't do it. All the velvet worms starved to death. None of them survived for millions of years, till they finally figured out how to make this special weapon to catch the cricket. Watch this. They added the music. The worm is not playing that music. Okay. Notice the legs that were not touching anything were also not moving. How does it keep track? This is with hydraulic pressure. Only the legs that are touching does the waste energy moving. How do you differentiate the pressure from one leg to the next when the whole body is a fluid-filled cavity? How does it decide to put pressure on leg number 38?
Anxiously, the cricket probes around in the darkness with its long antennae. The velvet worm will only know if it's found its prey when it touches it. So when it does, it has to react immediately. There. And the cricket is trapped.
He's got two cannons. He squirts out slime, which hardens like glue and catches the cricket with the glue slime coming from cannons. And the cannons are loose, so when he squirts, they flop around freely. Like, ever had a water hose get loose from you, flop around? Watch this.
A slow motion camera shows the remarkable way in which the velvet worm attacks. Two nozzles beneath its feelers squirt twin streams of glue. The more the cricket struggles, the more it becomes entangled. With the prey immobilized, the velvet worm reclaims its glue by eating it. And then...
So he's going to eat the glue, and he's got special claws to tear the cricket open and suck his guts out. Yum, 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 yum.
It starts on a cricket.
The velvet worm. Shut that off. Okay. I would like to know from you evolutionists, all you guys who believe, capital B, believe, this thing happened by chance, how this evolved bit by bit. Just the way it moves its legs is unexplainable, evolutionary, with evolutionary religion. The way it traps its prey by squirting the cannons of glue. Doesn't have to have a glue factory to make this stuff inside. How does it prevent the glue from hardening inside itself before it squirts it? See, for millions of years, they had the cannon, had the glue, and it all got hard inside of them. You ever had a bottle of glue get hard on you and you couldn't, yeah, it was terrible. They found dead velvet worms all over the world because they didn't know how to make the glue stay soft until it was ejected. Yeah, it took a long time for that to evolve, long time. That's the secret, time. You creationists just don't get it. It takes billions of years for these things to happen. You don't get it. Let's see. What are these guys going to say right here? National Pornographic. Bizarre slime cannon attack. World's deadliest on National Geo. The deadliest velvet worm. Velvet worms possess an ancient trait that seems like something out of science fiction. These creatures can spray a gluey slime up to a foot away to immobilize their prey. Formed inside two glands that together make up 10% of the creature's body mass. This must be pretty important. 10% of the critter's body is devoted to these cannons to squirt the glue. Inside the glands, 10%, the slime is propelled through muscular contractions and forcefully ejected through two legs adapted into openings called oral tubes. Yeah, don't want to say they're designed, they're adapted. You can't ever use the word designed if you want to get published in peer-reviewed journals, okay? Blasted out like a sprinkler, the slime soon solidifies and traps the prey. Wow. See, this took millions of years. That is the secret. Remember, millions of years. Once the prey is immobilized, the worm consumes it. They were surprised to discover the spray is directed by the movement of fluid through the tubes rather than muscles. As the fluid is forced through the oral tubes, the appendages flop around like a loose hose. The oscillations create the sprinkler effect required to capture prey effectively. See, for a long time, they couldn't do that, okay? They thought, if I just aim it and hit him, that would do it. No. Then they finally had to de-evolve the ability to aim it and make it where it just flops around. Okay, yeah. So the velvet worm can proceed with even more unsettling ways of consuming prey. It has jaws on the front that dig into it. Well, I'll show you here. Being eaten by a velvet worm is physically and a chemically complicated fate for an animal to face and unsettling for a human to observe. After the prey is slimed, the velvet worm uses powerful jaws to rip the prey's exoskeleton or skin, depending on the species. Next, the worm spits powerful enzymes into the body cavity of the prey through the opening ripped in the exoskeleton. The prey dissolves into chemical soup. All these things had to evolve bit by bit for no reason, just blind random chance mutations, until it slowly figured out how to rip the skeleton, squirt the juice in there, dissolve the critter from the inside, and then drink his soup. The velvet worm consumes this as a slurry of pre-digested material. How many are not hungry anymore? Okay. Excessive chewing or mechanical separation of edible meat from hard body parts is bypassed. Oh, you don't have to chew it up. Squirt the juice in and dissolve it, because they don't have any teeth to chew that with. So anyway, the velvet worm eats any of the entrapping slime. So it sprays the slime, traps the critter, kills it, liquefies it, drinks it, and gets his slime back and reforms it into more slime for the next time. Velvet worms are intrinsically strange. Even their apparently ordinary body parts have odd appendages. Rows of legs run down each side of the velvet worm body like a centipede. Although each leg looks typical at first, closer examination reveals a complete absence of any joints. So wait a minute, if they're just using hydraulic pressure to tell the leg to go forward and then push the creature back, how do you get hydraulic pressure to move? Don't you guys, how many drive our machinery here, backhoe or some of them, with hydraulics on there? Aren't there different levers you got to pull a certain way to make the thing go? Yeah. Does the velvet worm have any of that for 43 pairs of legs? He can independently control them. How big's his brain, I wonder? That's a complicated computer. Velvet worms possess stub feet that are simple. No, they're not. Fluid-filled structures. The feet look like blobs. Their feet can bend and be bent and compressed in different directions. How on earth is it controlling the hydraulic pressure to the front part of the leg to make it push backwards, and then the back part of the leg to make it push the other way? How is it controlling the pressure independently with all these while he's focusing on the cricket? This took millions and billions of years. Okay? Alternating fluid pressure. Each leg is tipped with a slightly recessed, sharp claw, permitting it to grip the thing. There it is. The head of the velvet worm has antenna, and it's amazing. Its body. These are the fangs it has to tear its prey open. After finding a vulnerable spot on the prey, the velvet worm uses its large curved fangs, composed of inner and outer fang, to rip apart its victim. The jaws move along the body instead of being opened and closed in a pattern perpendicular to the body, as seen in arthropods. So it's a whole different kind of jaw. The inner fangs have multiple denticles. Hidden by the soft mouth parts, the fangs could likely inflict a painful bite on a human if you're handling it. Samples have shown tanning and hardening of select portions of the jaw. Just study velvet worm. You can see hundreds of videos. People have studied these a lot for a long time. They never give an answer for how it evolved and how the reproductive system evolved. Watch this, and we'll quit. Misplaced reproductive organs. The velvet worm reproduction is as bizarre and unsettling as the way it finds a food. The worst of the bodily damage sustained during reproduction is inflicted by a certain type of female velvet worm after interaction with a selected male. Velvet worm males in the family will deposit sperm packets on the skin of the female rather than inseminating them. Get this now. He just gets a packet of sperm, puts it on her skin. The female then produces an enzyme that dissolves not only the sperm package casing, but also her own skin. Through this exterior burn wound, she will absorb the sperm. After the cluster of sperm breaks apart, it will course through her bloodstream. How did that evolve? For a long time, he couldn't even make the sperm packet, and they all died. Okay, when he finally learned how to make a sperm packet, then all the sperm were dead in the packet. So that had to evolve again for billions of years, probably hundreds of billions. Okay, and then he put it on her skin, and nothing happened. She got mad at him and slapped him and brushed it off. Yeah. For millions of years, that didn't work. Couldn't make any babies. Okay. Finally, she said, I really got to get what he just gave me is really a good present. I got to get that inside. Let's dissolve my own skin and absorb it through my skin. Creature, does anyone have a scientific explanation for how this evolved? No. They have a number of bizarre reproductive strategies. All the velvet worms reproduce sexually, except for one of them. No males have ever been seen of this one, parthenogenesis, produced by parthenogenesis. The other velvet worm species have evolved several creative ways to deliver the male's sperm to the female. Some species deposit their spermatophores directly into the female's genital opening. Through the means by which they do this varies. In some species, the male uses special structures on his head. Other species have spikes, spines, or pits to hold the sperm or transfer it to the female. All of these evolved independently over millions of years, okay? The males of the genus, whatever it is, just deposit their spermatophore on seemingly random spots on the female body. Just stick the sperm packet anywhere. Watch this now. This evolved by chance. This stimulates a localized breakdown of her skin, so the sperm can pass into her body and migrate to her ovaries. See, for millions of years, she got the sperm inside and it went to, her kidneys instead. It didn't do any good. Other times it went to, the brain. It didn't do any good. Got to get to the ovaries. Okay. Most velvet worms give birth to live young. Female velvet worms can store sperm for many months before using them to fertilize their eggs. She can decide when she wants to get pregnant. Their gestation period can last up to 15 months. Most give birth to live young, although a few species lay eggs. They're born fully developed, looking like miniature versions of adults. From Wired magazine. wet tropics government site in Australia. Even though the various species of these critters look alike on the outside, they have some very different ways of reproducing. Some lay shelled eggs, while others produce live young, which have been nourished by an attachment similar to a placenta. Such advanced reproduction is most unusual for an animal who first appeared in the evolution of animals at the beginning of the timeline. So how did they get so advanced 500 million years ago? The Australian government's trying to figure it out. Keep studying, guys, okay? The transfer of the male's sperm is also rather strange. Some species have a small pit on their head, and the male will transfer sperm to the pit, which then makes contact with the female's genitalia. There's an African species which simply leaves a packet of sperm on the body. The packet dissolves the sperm, and the sperm are absorbed through the skin. I wonder if maybe it was designed. How did the velvet worm evolve this ability to reproduce this unusual way? Teacher, I have a question. I learned the textbook explanation for how this worm evolved, and I can puke it back up on a test for you. But am I required to actually believe it to pass the class? Teacher, do you require your students to learn about evolution, or do you require them to believe it? If a student says, I learned the material, here's what the book says, write it down exactly like they want, and then adds a note that says, however, this is stupid, I don't believe it, would you fail that student? Would you deduct from their grade if they don't believe your religion of evolution? Would you try to hinder them from going on for advanced degrees? Because you don't want anybody to get a doctorate degree if they don't believe in evolution. That way you can say, all doctors believe in evolution. I know what you want. Of course you want that. Okay. So I'd like to know how this evolved. Atheists, you're 0 for 48. Okay. You haven't answered any of the questions. All these animals, how they evolved this ability to reproduce, they haven't even tried to touch it, have they? And watch. In the comment section right now, in the question section, it will have things totally unrelated to what I covered tonight. They will talk about something like, why are you wearing thermal underwear under a Hawaiian shirt? Because I'm cold and I feel like it. Okay? Don't even ask. All right? Go ahead. Brother, questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what did they claim that the velvet worm adapted from? What was the big assessment of?
Well, the fossils they find, 500 million year old rocks, which is pure baloney, look like the ones today.
Right, but what was before that?
They don't know.
They don't know.
So they need a government grant.
Yeah, of course.
Got to get a government grant to go study this for a long time. Yeah, that's how they do it. Okay, I'm so excited, Lori. I finally caught you live. I've been alive for a long time. Okay. What did that say? I missed it there, brother. What was
East Tennessee. 1 second, I'll get you
back up to that one? I only read part of the question. From East Tennessee, I love watching. Well, thank you. Tell other people about us, and you can all help us. Real simple. Spread our videos around, share them with everybody, and contact atheists and say, look, why don't you have a debate with Ken Hovind? I really want to get to 500 before I die, brother. We're on, 339? I need some more opponents. Come on, you guys, you brave keyboard warriors. Have another debate. Tell me how the velvet worm evolved. Okay, thank you, East Tennessee. Now, do the East Tennesseans speak Mississippian too, brother?
Absolutely.
They talk the same language?
Yes, sir.
Okay, absolutely. Let's see. Question for Kent. Jesus said to preach the gospel to every creature. So when I preach, should I ask the person if they want it first or not? Preach the gospel. Is there a question in there? I don't.
He's saying, should he just walk up and preach, or should he ask them if they care to hear it?
Well, I think you got to find a way to start a conversation. You ought to try to make friends with people. You don't have to preach to them right away. There's all kinds of ways to do it, whatever the Holy Spirit leads you to do. Where does Doc get his Hawaiian shirts? They're so cool. Out of my closet. When you go in the bedroom, it's on the right, okay? I got a whole row of them. I don't know. People give them to me. I don't think I've ever bought a Hawaiian shirt. How many do I have, Mrs. Hovind?
30 maybe?
30, I think more than that. But anyway, a bunch. Okay, I like them. Docs gets very cold on a 100-foot journey from his house to the church building.
Sound like your thermal under there.
Oh. Well, there's a reason for that, okay? I'm old and I go slow, so it takes a long time to go 100 feet. Why don't Christians celebrate Hanukkah? I can't even spell it. I don't know. You can celebrate anything you want. Go ahead. I don't celebrate it.
That's about it, Doc.
That's it. Okay. So where's your evolutionist explaining the velvet worm? Come on, just tell me how they evolved. Don't just claim that they did and call that science. Show me step by step how this, let's just start with the glue factory. How do they make this glue? How do they get the cannon to spray it? And then they eat it and recycle it again and use it over and over again. How? And then the reproductive system, the sperm packet. Let's see. How do you think those creatures ate food before the fall? A fair question. I have a theory that probably insects are not included. They're alive, but they're not included in the eat fruit and vegetables only. Now, they could have gone from some method of digesting fruit with this spray and to now digesting a cricket instead. That changing from a plant-eating worm to a meat-eating worm is a minor change compared to going from a dot of nothing to a worm. Okay, that's major change. Just like the lions going from a plant-eating lion to a meat-eating lion, that's be a minor change. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Are insects included? Did God design it from the beginning? Maybe insects are just a complicated self-replicating food source. Aren't plants the same thing? Apple trees produce a bunch of apples so we can eat them. Right, okay, good. We'll have to wait and see on that one. God bless, don't forget to hit the like button. Where is it? Do I have one on my laptop? Oh, I got a bunch of buttons on here. I don't know what some of them do, but okay. Okay, thank you, appreciate that. All right, any more?
Yeah, that's all I got, Doc.
That's all you got. Okay, nothing tomorrow. Sunday morning, 10:30, join us for Exodus chapter 20. We're going to try to cover one, maybe two whole verses. Yes? Brother Meister preaches tomorrow. What time?
9:30 in the morning.
9:30 in the morning. Tune in. Get some wisdom from this man. He's awesome. Great. Okay, come visit Dinosaur Adventure Land. Oh, Mrs. Hovind, the 12 days of Christmas. Do you want to come tell people about that? I should have had a chair ready for you. One moment here, folks. Let me get my wife a chair. Okay. Camera ready there. Plus, I like any excuse to get her up here and sit by her. Okay.
We don't have it all completely laid out yet, but we had 3 wonderful days of Thanksgiving, and
Yeah.
we figured we would do 12 days of Christmas. Each day we're going to do something different down in Bruton. There's a sleigh. We're going to have group pictures. On one day we're going to have a snowball fight. On one we're going to have gift exchange.
Snowball fight in Lenox?
Oh yeah.
And where are you going to get the snow?
We've got it. Okay.
You got it figured out?
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's see. We're going to have a lot of food, that's for sure.
Well,
We're
we
going to
did
have a
for
lot of
Thanksgiving.
goodies and contests. It's one day after another of all kinds of fun.
Come on down. Spend Christmas. If you don't have a family, we'll be your family. Come spend Christmas with us. All right.